Hi, Lucas. Thank you so much for joining me in today's debriefing session. First, congrats a lot on your score 730, Q48 and V42, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Fantastic score. I know that you're from Brazil, and it's a fantastic score for that particular demographic. It gets you into like a top 10 schools in the world, and also a lot of scholarship money. So congrats again. And yeah, tell us about your journey so far, taking the
Yeah,
GMAT.
great. Thank you so much. So my GMAT journey was a bit longer than usual.
Hmm.
So I started studying in the end of 2018 for the first time.
Hmm.
I have some colleagues who were taking the test as well at my consulting firm where I work for.
Hmm.
And at the time, I used Magoosh, which was an online course
Hmm.
to do this first study. So I studied for 2 months using this course and the
Right.
free course available in the GMAT website.
Hmm.
And then I did my test in the beginning of 2019 for the first time. I scored 620. I was quite disappointed with my score.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, that can be it. So I just reschedule a new test for 1 month later,
That
and then
sucks,
try it
right? I
again.
mean, scoring a 620, you're a very smart guy. You're an engineer. You're working at Bain, which is one of the most selective employers in the
Yeah.
world. And then scoring a 620 after studying for 2 months, it's so disheartening.
Yes, it was like I couldn't believe that I scored so low. I said, no, that can be it. So I just try again.
Hmm.
But I didn't change. But I didn't change the course. I didn't change any studying strategy. I
Hmm.
just scheduled the test one more time, 1 month
Sure.
later. I did some more mock tests. I was scoring the mocks around 690, 700.
Hmm. This was
And then
Magoosh mocks, or was this your official GMAT mocks?
like random free mocks available online. So I did from a lot of different websites.
Hmm.
And then I took the test again and I scored 680. And I could see that verbal was my main deficiency there, my weakest spot.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, I'll take a break and then I will see how to do this test again. So this was in the beginning of 2019.
Right.
Then it came the pandemic in 2020. I took a bit longer than usual to go back to studies. But then
Hmm.
this September last year, I said, okay, now I'm gonna really start to
Yeah.
study for this test, and that's where I look at online, like what are the best online programs to online courses to study for the test, and
Hmm.
I found e-GMAT. So I saw some kind of reviews online about the course, and then I said, okay, I think these guys are good. So I just bought the tests, the
Uh-huh.
verbal and the quant section, and then I focused more on verbal
Hmm.
this time. Then, but it was only by myself. So I was dedicating, I would say, 5 hours per week, more or less, not much more than that.
That's a slow start. 5 hours a
Yes,
week is a bit slow.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
Uh,
How
then
did you
I
start? Did you start by solving questions, or did you start by going
no,
straight to fundamentals?
I went straight to reading. I think it's master comprehension, the name of the
Right.
course.
So
Then
the very
sentence
first
correction,
course.
very first one.
Yeah.
Then I did sentence correction, and I think that's where I really understood how the process work and
Hmm.
like so it's time consuming the course because you have to go through it to really get the process and until you are able to do it in good timing, right?
Hmm.
But once you master the process for the e-GMAT process, I think it really helps you get through all the questions like without struggling too much.
Right.
Uh,
And
and
it's very
then
important because you're a non-native English speaker. I think your native language is what, Portuguese?
Portuguese, yeah.
Yeah. So you're a non-native English speaker, same as me. It just sounds very different to a
Yeah.
to a native English speaker compared to people like us. And you're still at a V42, which is what 97th percentile score in the GMAT. So I
Mhm.
think starting from the very fundamental, you focusing on the process, I think you made the right decision, and that's helped you score V42.
Yes, yes. No, I totally agree. And like I remember seeing the course like the pause points. You have to
Yeah.
pause and really understand the meaning. And I said, I don't
Mhm.
need that. But then in the end, I saw that really made a difference, and are really able to like capture the meaning of the sentence that you need to answer correctly in the end. So that was it. Then I did in December, I did the GMAT and I scored 700, which was like my minimum score that I was looking for. I
Mhm.
was looking for 700, and I got verbal 37 at the time and quant 49, I think. Yeah.
Right.
And I said that, okay, I think verbal I can do a bit better.
So this
And
is this is all you. Nobody forced you to take it again. This was just you.
no, no. But it was quite interesting because then at the end of the year, I was invited for the Last Mile Push program,
Yes.
where I met Ashutosh, who was my
Mhm.
mentor,
Mhm.
and it was really helpful for me because like I remember the title of the email was like how to help you get 720 or more, and
Mhm.
I mean, okay, that's what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember my first call with him was like in the beginning of January, and then we aligned on a daily plan, the
Mhm.
daily study plan, and there were many more hours to focus.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 hours per weekday and 6 hours on weekends.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, like it's 1 month. I really want to score that high, and I think it will be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So I did all the tasks. So it's daily tasks, and it's much more focused on what you need to develop.
Mhm.
So like I think it really helped me to like focus a lot my studies. And then
So did you have like a almost a daily or a weekly schedule of what to follow precisely, what to study?
exactly. So
Got it.
like daily lessons that I should do on the GMAT course,
Mhm.
how to structure the quizzes to train whatever topic that I was learning at the time.
Mhm.
It was mainly focused on quant, but I also did specific verbal quizzes to help me get more speed in verbal, which is the one that I needed to improve.
Mhm.
And then in February last week, I did my last GMAT attempt, and
Right.
then I got the 730. So yeah, I
Mhm.
was very very happy when I saw this score in the end.
Yeah, what's very interesting to me is that you had a 700, which is a good score, and you can get to 700 yourself by just studying from resources and just preparing yourself. And you could have even applied at that stage. You could have applied. I know Brazilians in top schools like Chicago, Booth, like Wharton, with a 700 score. So you don't need to take the GMAT again, but you still pushed yourself to, I just want that elite score, like a 730, 740 elite score. And you had this help that sort of helped you schedule your entire month of studies. You didn't really have to be confused about what should I study, what should I not study. You had your entire plan
Exactly.
laid out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really awesome. So 7:30, you're applying. Actually, before that, you also mentioned that you studied quant towards the end, right? So how did that go? Because you were already pretty good in quant. You had a Q49 in your last
Mhm.
attempt.
Yeah.
Why did you study quant a second time?
Yeah, so we took a look at my mock tests in e-GMAT
Mm-hmm.
that I did, and I was always struggling with timing on quant.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could see that I mean, some of the questions that I got correctly was like lucky.
Right.
So I had some really conceptual gaps that I need to like really understand what I was doing wrong. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I did the two number properties, and the other one was algebra, the courses that I did with e-GMAT.
Mm-hmm.
So really grasping that conceptual basic understanding. So I think it helped me to fill in those gaps that I had. In the end, in the actual test, I didn't score as good as I wanted to, because I got Quant 48.
Yeah.
That was because, like, in the test, I didn't manage the time that well, and in the end, I didn't have time to finish the Quant section in the end.
Got
So
it.
that's why I think I wasn't able to improve that much in Quant. But I mean, I only had 1 month to focus, and I mean, I think that's in the end worked well.
Even at a Q49, even at a reasonably expert level, you were still able to derive value from the quant side of the course and learn new concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, you've got a 730. You're applying to business schools now. You want to target round 1 of next year. What schools are you targeting?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What schools are you targeting? What schools do you want to apply to?
Yes. So, I mean, since I worked so hard to get this good score, I want to apply for the top programs in the US or in Europe. I'm still deciding. So in Europe, mainly London Business School, which is a 2-year program that I think would be really nice. And then in the US, I'm still figuring out, but schools like Harvard, Sloan, Kellogg, or even in California, I would say like Berkeley, for example, would be interested in schools that I would be interested to research more, and then if I have a good fit, apply for them as well. Yeah.
Got it. If you don't mind me asking, how many years of work experience do you have?
Yeah, so I have 3.5 years now of work experience. Yeah.
Got it. So before the call, we were discussing. I know that you're working with a consultant for your applications. We were discussing what questions to ask your consultant so you can derive the most value from them, right? So yeah, if you have around 3.5 years of experience, I can tell you that European schools, most European schools, you mentioned in SEAD, there are other schools like IMD, HEC, they typically admit older candidates, 29, 30, 31, right? You would feel a bit out of place. I actually am at a school where 5 years of work experience is the median. That's the work experience that 4.5, 5 years of experience is what you would have next year, right? When you actually apply to schools. When I'm around candidates with less than 3 or 4 years of experience, it's just hard to connect with them. It's hard to form that network that you want to form in business school, right? So typically, if you're coming in with around 4.5, 5 years of work experience, you want to be in a school which has most of the people with the same sort of work experience. So that's possibly one of the questions you can ask your admission consultant, right? What schools can you form the best sort of network, right? Also, one of the things that you can look for in MBA schools, people typically look for, is post-MBA sort of placements programs, post-MBA companies that you get placed in. That's not a question for you because you're already going back to Bain, right? But what you can look for is the career services and the alumni network, right? You can actually call up schools directly and ask them about the career support that they provide after the MBA. How engaged is the career services team with the alumni post-MBA? Because the very best schools will have a very engaged team. Like for instance, you mentioned Harvard earlier, right? So HBS has a team that works with HBS alumni to connect them to other HBS alumni from different years, like from a couple of 5, 6 years back to get them a job, right? So for you, more than the immediate placements, it's important to leverage the network, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, so it's very important to ask the admission consultant which school has most active network. There are schools like Tuck that have a super active network, great culture, very, very close knit, right? Schools like HBS also have an active network, but for a different reason, because HBS has a brand. They have a brand to preserve, right? So HBS also has an active network. There are other schools which don't have a network that's as active as these two schools. So you want to go to a school which either has a very close-knit community like Tuck, which translates into a very engaged network, or you want to go to a school which has a very, very sort of esteemed brand.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, I would definitely ask your consultant about those two questions. Is there anything else that you're working on from a school's point of view?
Sorry, wasn't 100% clear on this last one.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else? What do you want to, for instance, what do you want to do post MBA, like long term?
Yeah. So, for example, one of the industries that I'm very interested is impact investing. So, for example, in my MBA, I would be willing to look for more finance courses to really build, for example, a strong foundation on finance and I don't know, maybe private equity background in order to be able to make this transition to this sector and really have the knowledge to do it, right?
Right.
So yeah, maybe this is one area that I'd be willing to look more in these schools.
Right. So you mentioned obviously you're going back to Bain for a couple of years. If you're in the US, you'll go back for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So and also you mentioned that you're an engineer. You don't really have a formal background in finance. So when it comes to investing, and especially going back to Brazil, HBS is obviously recognized globally. And that can be a target school for you because HBS, even though it's not renowned as a finance school, because it's so renowned globally, HBS has a lot of alumni in the finance sector, in the investing sector, in the VCPE sector, right? Another school you can look at is Wharton. Wharton is a no-brainer. Wharton's an amazing finance school. I would say the best finance school in the world. Some of the best Nobel laureates in finance are professors at Wharton. So great school to get your finance education. Another school you would want to look at is Chicago Booth, right? So basically you want to look at schools with a lot of alumni in the finance sector, right? And one of the ways you can do that is look at the school's employment reports and look at the sort of percentage of alumni that go into finance.
Yeah.
Another thing is look at the companies that hire. So what sort of do top VC and PE firms hire from these schools? You mentioned GSB, Stanford GSB, and you mentioned Haas Berkeley earlier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily go there because if you were really interested in startups, I would definitely say apply to those schools. But for finance, I would maybe not look at those schools.
Yeah.
Right. Similar for INSEAD. If you want, like, I mean, if you wanted a management consultant job, which you already have, I would say go to INSEAD. It'll help you get to Bain or McKinsey, but you don't need that. Right. If you want to pivot to a more finance role, you would want to look for alumni that are in the finance industry, and you would want to look for schools that have those alumni.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. You also asked me a question earlier about the GMAT and the other parts of the score, whether those AWA and IR scores are relevant to your admission. They're not super relevant. Okay. The AWA score, I think you have 5. Anything more than 4 is fine. 4 or more is fine. So a 5 is great. And for IR, again, anything 5 and plus is fine. So these scores are just like, it's just to confirm that you're not a complete dodo. you never compete on these scores. But if you
Yeah.
score really low on these scores, then it could be a problem. Like if you
Okay.
were to get like a 1 or 2 on IR and a 730, then that could have been a problem.
Okay.
Typically, these scores are used as a tie-breaking score. So it's you with a 730 or another Brazilian from 730, then
Yeah.
maybe they would look at, or not, sorry?
Yeah, it's helpful because I just remember like a new question because I did the GMAT multiple times, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I know I want to convey the message that like it was an effort that I did to go from 620 to 730.
Yeah.
But I do know that like you can also take the other view that is okay. This guy like it didn't had the best grade at first, right?
No,
Do you
I
have
don't
like
think that that's the view.
any view on that?
No, yeah, that's not the view. The second thing that you mentioned is not the view that MBA admissions typically takes. They know how difficult and how time consuming it is to prepare for the GMAT. So they know that if a person is putting in that amount of time, and it's also expensive, right? So they know that if a person's putting in that much time, money, effort to take the GMAT again, that they're really committed and they really want to come to my school. So when they see that and your school is improved, right? It's not been stagnant. It's not been like 620, 620, 620 three times. So 620 to 700 to 730. There's a stark improvement there. So when they see that, they're like, this is a person who is not going to give up. This is a person who is going to work till they perfect what they want to do. And they will do that in the MBA program also. So it's a very positive message. And I don't think you need to be worried about that at all.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you also mentioned that you're just about starting your MBA research. So what are you doing there? Like how are you researching MBA schools?
Yeah, so I'm trying to go to the website of all these business schools, learn about a bit more about their programs. And I know they do offer a lot of information sessions that now are all online. I'll try to be attending some of those. And also because I work in consulting, a lot of my colleagues are currently in the MBA on these schools. So I'm just trying to connect with all of them, make random Zoom sessions to get to know a bit more the culture of the school, what are their experience like, and talk to as many people as I can at this stage. Yeah.
So are you talking to people in the program or are you talking to alumni?
In the program right now.
Got it. Even try to connect with people who have been past that MBA experience 3-4 years back, right? Try to connect with the easiest way to do that is just go to LinkedIn and just search by the school that you want to, like if you want to connect with Wharton people. So location could be like wherever you are, like Brazil, and you can put in Wharton's name under the school and connect with people who are currently in your city. I mean, that's another thing. Also, a lot of the engaged networks, sort of organized meetups in the city itself. So if you're in a big city, you would have, let's say, a few Wharton alumni getting together, meeting up, and having an event, right? So you could even drop by those events. So try to organize coffee chats with these people, because you're going to spend about 2 years with people like them. So it's very important for you to like where you're going. If you don't like the class that you're going into, if you don't like the network, it's going to be of no use.
Yeah.
Right. For you, I think the two things that you want to focus on is the network and the financial skill set, because you already have a job. For an MBA person, the job is extremely important. Like for instance, for me, my school started in August and job search started in September.
Yeah.
Right, like 1.5 months into school, it starts. But for you, it's going to be all about forming relationships and developing your skill set. So it's important that you go to a school that has the right faculty, which is why I'm recommending targeting those three or four schools that I mentioned. Also worth going to school where you actually like the people. If you don't like the people, there's no point building the network because you won't be able to rely on that network in your post-MBA job search.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know if your consultant has yet taken the angle of mentioning that you already have a job in Bain, but I would definitely lean towards that. Have you spoken about that?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. So there will be a goals essay. What do you want to do in life, right? Like, what is your short-term goal? What is your long-term goal? The long-term goal can be impact investing, right? You can write about that. But short-term goal is just come back to Bain, be an associate, senior associate, whatever the job title is, because I already have an offer from the company. The company is sponsoring my education, right? Schools love this because they have someone going to Bain. So when schools have people going to MBBs, they are over the moon. It's very prestigious for them, right? So one, you are going back to Bain, so that's amazing. Second, you already have a job. They don't have to worry about placing you. Schools want their placement statistics to be as high as possible. So the career services team has to work with the student to get them placed at a company, right? If you're coming into the MBA with a short job, post-MBA, they don't have to worry about placing you. That means you're the ideal candidate. That means you will get the interview. That means you will get the admit. I would definitely lean towards mentioning this in your application. Very, very pronounced.
That makes totally sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then couple that with your 730 GMAT, which is about 30, 40 points greater than the median score for people from Brazil. I think you're a fantastic applicant to these schools, and you've got a great chance.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, it's very nice to hear all of that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Anything I can help you with?
Yeah, I think we discussed like the most important points here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
If you need help later on, I'm always happy to help. And thank you again for coming on the discussion and joining me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Bye-bye.
for your help. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.